we are now recording, everyone. Okay, welcome everybody to another Earth Chats. I have here the lovely Stephanie. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm wonderful. And how are you, Brandon?
I'm very well. Trying not to get crazy over this lockdown situation, but so far I'm well.
Yes, I think that's the one thing that's actually interesting is that something that can seem so divisive between us actually brings us together online in community. At least it can do that. So, because we're all feeling the same way.
I
I
know, my God.
I know it's although to be completely honest, as an artist, I'm okay being confined in my studio. That's my life anyway. So for me it hasn't been too hard. I've had moments, but for the most part it gives me an excuse to like keep creating. So it's kind of the push I needed to go and paint.
I feel that is I feel that same sentiment because I'm an ambivert. I also create stuff like you like yourself as well, but I also thrive being with people. So I have the best of both worlds. But in that
Yeah.
way, it just encourages me just to keep on creating.
That's exactly it. It just encourages me to kind of go inward. I'm forced to sit with myself and just really get to know myself. I think that's been the most rewarding part of this experience. I try to always see the positive in everything. So that's what I take from this whole lockdown is just, hey, I just get to know myself more, get to know my partner more. So it's just, I don't know, it's always perspective, right?
Yeah, that's honestly very true because I have gotten a lot closer with my family recently as well. I think that there's always a silver lining to any darkness, anyway, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, but by the way, just in case anybody doesn't know you, Stephanie, would you like to give an introduction to yourself?
Yes, I'm Italian, so I have a tendency to just start talking, and you'll see probably my hands move a lot, so I apologize for that. Um, so my name is Stephanie Della Porta. I never really know how to introduce myself because the way that our world works is we're very big on labels and titles. So, it's like I'm just the way I see it personally is I'm just a fragment of source expressing itself as Stephanie Della Porta. Like I'm so many things. I'm so multidimensional. I don't even know how to introduce myself. I'm an artist. I'm a creator. I'm a lover. A friend, a daughter. Like I'm all these different things. So I don't know to put myself in a box. I'm so many things. I couldn't even introduce myself in just one sentence. It'd be like, let's just talk for hours because there's so much to so many layers.
Oh my God. I feel that so much as well. And I can be so many things, but I call myself Brandon. I'm the universe expressing myself as Brandon.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just I'm so many things. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I was seeing your Instagram page and I see that you do a lot of creative things. Would you mind telling me about a little bit about your work and what you do? Is it art and spirituality or are they both separate?
You know what? There was a time where they were very separate before I kind of began to know who I am as a spiritual being expressing myself in this human body. And I would say now I definitely create conscious art. I believe now that art is a form of channeling for me. It's a way that I channel um, source energy and being that expression. And I have an Etsy store which I opened recently for the second time. I originally opened it in Australia. So I guess to back up a little bit, I actually just spent the last 2 years from 2018 to 2020, literally just before lockdown. We arrived February 1st, before everything shut down. We came back home. We were living in Australia, me and my partner. So me and him decided to sell all our things and just have an experience. And I'm a big proponent of not just existing. I want to live. So I want to live through so many experiences. And I don't like I said earlier, I don't like putting myself in a box. So basically, I went to Australia, and for the first time, I did an art workshop because I've been painting my whole life. And this was on specifically oil painting. And up until that point in my life, I'd only painted with acrylic paints. So, and I was doing landscapes. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't really, it was more just imitating what I saw. It wasn't putting, I feel like it wasn't really an expression. It was just, everything had to be perfect. And I had to do this tree exactly as I saw it. And so this course was about embodying, basically I painted myself. So it was
Painted
the first time
yourself.
it was the first time I painted a human, a person. And we were encouraged to paint, paint ourselves freely, paint our bodies nude, paint our, like, without any clothes. And for me, it was, this is how I started getting into it. And that was my first, I guess, exposure to really embracing my divine feminine. So after that course, I started just painting, and I guess, all of these visions that poured through me started pouring onto the canvas through the paint. And now my art really focuses on the divine feminine and basically bringing back the sacredness in that, and rewriting history, because I feel that the feminine part of history has been completely eradicated from from religions, from textbooks. Like, we don't really talk about how at one point in history, women kind of ran things too. We were equals. So for me, my art is a way of expressing that. Although it is for everybody, it's gender neutral. It's not just for women to buy. I mean, we all carry masculine and feminine energy. So for me, it kind of encompasses everything. But I like to look at my art as a conscious creation, because I will be meditating and I'll be given like visions. I'm very visual. I guess you could call it clairvoyant. I'm highly attuned visually. So I will receive images of messages that I'm getting, and to be honest, I get too many messages and my hands just don't paint fast enough. So I have literally a list in my journal of all these things I have to paint. So it gets a little overwhelming sometimes, but I'm very grateful that, I am able to be that kind of channel.
Oh, that's very lovely to hear. There's a lot what you said that I would love to unpack. You were talking about there was phases to your art. Before this entire lockdown happened, was your art affected by it, especially since you're a channeler? And were you channeling some sort of, may I say, negative images when it comes to the events of the world, or was there a difference between before and now?
That's a very good question. I really like to, I guess I should start by saying that in my space, when I create, I try to, I create in a very positive, high vibrational state when I paint. So I'll listen to high vibrational music, or I'll put on a high vibrational podcast, like something that really uplifts me. I don't listen, like, I wouldn't watch the news. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I was watching the news, because of that vibration behind it, I would probably be painting, like dark things, and
Oh my God.
like, I would try to stay away from that. But to be honest, my art is I wouldn't say I really get negative images, but I can say that my dreams are a whole different story.
Oh my God.
I dream since I was a kid. I've dreamt things that I understand now, that I've traveled to different dimensions as I dream. I've recently had experiences where I've been astral projected out of my body, and it scared me so much that I've been thrown back into my body. Like, I have experiences now that are kind of, I guess, out of this world. But in terms of painting negative things, you know what? I wouldn't say no, because I'm in such flow with spirit, with the universe, that like it's just already a high vibrational energy. So my mind actually is the calmest when I'm painting. Like, I forget about the world. I forget about what's going on. I'm in my own private universe. Like, I am literally birthing new worlds onto the canvas. So I'm in a whole different land, a whole different realm.
Oh, I really agree with that, especially because with me, I have been practicing, especially with lucid dreaming, and
Yes.
I went and did this experimentation of a 1 week a 1 week documentation series of me trying to experiment with different lucid dreaming techniques,
Oh,
and
wow.
And I found out, and I find it really, really like strange. It's sort of like when you dream, you're sort of painting this different reality, you know?
Yes.
Oh,
I've definitely had that. That's incredible. Me and my partner, me and him want to we actually, it's so funny you say that because we are very into lucid dreaming right now. He has a course for us to do like lined up because he's part of Mind Valley, the Mind Valley.
oh yes, my bad. I heard of that.
Yeah, he has the Mind Valley subscription. So already it's so funny. Me and him were talking about it and synchronistically, you know, like the next day courses started being available and it's on lucid dreaming and yeah, it's definitely, that's amazing that you did that. I can't, I definitely know I've lucid dreamed. I've gone through like the sleep paralysis, you know, and it can be scary sometimes. I find because I think of all the stigma that's been built around it. And I think movies and television shows are big proponents of that, where they program you to think these things are dark and scary. And then so when you start experiencing them already, you kind of push away from who you really are because you know this is a part of us being spiritual beings is being able to do these things.
I know it's like I've known so many people that have told me that Brandon, why are you doing lucid dreaming? You're gonna get possessed by a demon, and I'm like, what? What? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's like honestly, I don't know how to say it in words, but like going into a dream is like going into yourself. I don't want to sound all all
No.
out of the world, but it's like you are seeing a mirror. Like if I don't know how to put it on the words, but you're seeing
Yes,
a mirror. You know?
I get it. So like if you're dreaming of a bear, you're actually that bear. Like that's a
Yes.
representation. I totally. And if you know what's interesting too, I learned the other day too, like because I have dreams where I like this is probably gonna sound a little out there, but I like battle dark entities. Like I've done things where like light comes out of my hands and I'm you know, and I'm like battling things. And I've learned too that when you dream about even dark entities or dark energies, those are also shadow aspects of yourself. They can also be
Yes,
shadow
reflections
aspects of
of our dark sides of ourselves or points.
exactly that we're not integrating. So yeah, you know, and that's what I mean. Where people, a lot of the times, people will automatically, you know, think, oh, you're being possessed, or you know, something's going to happen. And I've had responses. You know, if I when I share my experience, it depends. I'm very, very cautious now who I share those type of experiences with, but I have in the past, and I've gotten the same thing where they're like, you know, to be careful, you know, make sure something bad's not going to happen. You know, a demon's going to do this, and I find that that's also like I said earlier because we're so programmed with these movies and that this is what's obviously going to happen. You know, if you think supernatural, it's automatically evil, and it's like not
Yes.
necessarily because we're supernatural beings already, and I'm not evil, so you know, so it's
It's
not.
it's all about perspective, you know.
It is. And unfortunately, I have empathy for people, you know, because I used to be like that. So I used to think that way too. Totally. So that's why whenever people respond that way, I always try to kind of come back to myself and think, okay, I was once where they were. You know, they're on their own journey. That's okay. They can, you know, have their opinion. So yeah, it's just, I totally understand that.
And like just to sort of back up a little because because we're talking about right now like evil entities within dreams. I think like those are reflections of what people are going through in life. Like what is your sort of perspective on channeling on the feminine as you were explaining a while ago? How can people really look past the stigmas and really try to embrace this creative side of theirs?
Yes, that actually was a big evolution for me personally. Just to give you, I guess, a quick background, my family's Catholic because I'm Italian. I'm Italian. I'm mostly Italian. I'm like three-quarters Italian with a bunch of, you know, with some French on one side, Aboriginal lineage, Native American lineage, a little bit down the line on another, and who else? Who else knows? I don't know. I could be so many things. So, but anyways, so my family was they're Catholic. I wouldn't say they were practicing Catholics. It was more, you know, just kind of holidays and the occasional Sundays. But when I was about 13, I ended up myself getting involved in a Pentecostal church, which was totally different than the Catholic religion. So that opened my eyes to a few things. And I loved it. I wasn't going because anyone told me to go or anyone forced me. I had friends that I'm still friends with to this day that I made there. So I had community. And the one thing though that always kind of stuck with me that I didn't necessarily resonate with was the patriarch of it. The fact that women, yes, the fact that women were beneath, they're kind of, to me, that's, I don't want to offend anyone. It's just, to me personally, because I grew up, believing in the Bible and following, putting, scripture on my wall, and, it's more, for me, something didn't resonate with me with that. I didn't like the fact that the feminine, being sensual, being sexual was wrong, and so when I started painting, I think when I went into this course and started painting myself, nude, and started really like accepting all parts of myself and being in this feminine body, I started to it just all started to unfold. It's like I was confronting shadow aspects of myself that I didn't think, that I thought were bad, like my sensuality, my sexuality, my femininity. Like I can't, it was almost like you couldn't be. I used to wear actually baggy clothes. Like I did not wear form-fitting clothes. I didn't wear low-cut tops. I didn't, like, growing up, I always thought that I don't want to be seen, as a harlot or as a seductress. Like I was very, it was ingrained in me that, oh no, this is bad, this is wrong. As a woman, you're responsible, for how men feel. So you have to watch everything you do and everything you say. And that, at some point I went to university and that just started falling away slowly and slowly. Those beliefs started falling away. My perspective began to change. And then doing that course just honestly liberated me. It just liberated me. It was like, I'm free. My body's beautiful. I am an expression of that feminine energy of the divine. So I don't believe that's wrong. So now when I paint, I like to paint women literally without clothes. Like I do. It's like, this is what my art's focusing on now. I don't paint women in clothes. I don't do that. Like it's very free. I like to I want to set us free, coming back to the wild woman archetype where, my belief is that we are nature herself. We're the ones that bear the children. We're the ones that create life. So we're nature.
Yes.
So we have to stop hiding away those parts of ourselves that tell us that, we are supposed to be submissive and to hide ourselves. That's where I stand now. It completely changed for me. I see that you may have some questions, so I'm gonna stop talking.
No. I love this expression of you that I'm seeing, and I hardly see a lot of people that are so passionate about what they do, and that I honor in you, Stephanie.
I am very passionate. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. But you're talking about this religious belief, and if I may ask you,
Of course.
how do you see God? Like what is God to you, or do you think there is a God?
That's an interesting question, because once I started being more vocal on my social media about this stuff, I had people that knew me from when I was 13 assume that I didn't believe there was a God anymore, and I didn't, because I understand, I think there's many different versions of me running around in other people's heads. So people think of me a certain, it's true. Everyone judges me in a different way, right?
It's sort of like that what I think, I say, if I think that you think that I am smart, I feel smart. If I think that you think that I am stupid, I am stupid.
Yeah, so there's so many different versions of me running around in people's heads that, like, sometimes when I say stuff, people, will say, well, that's not the Stephanie I know, so for me personally, I don't believe in religion anymore. I believe that this is for me, I believe that religion is a way for people to understand their own divinity and to understand the cosmos and the universe. And for me, I believe that religions almost act as like different archetypes. They represent different things, and they're a way for people to understand themselves and the world around them. And which is why a lot of them are so similar, but also very different. I find though that because religion's man-made, I find that there's always truth in religion to some extent. I don't believe that I don't believe that everything that is within a religion is correct. I believe that it's perceptions that people have taken and formed a structure around this religion. Which, for example, like because I was heavily into Christianity, like I was, to be honest, and I'm actually ashamed to say this, I am, but like I used to be that person that was like, putting Bibles on people's heads and telling them they were going to go to hell. Like that was me. You know what I mean? So like coming from that to being who I am today, I don't believe in religion. I believe in spirituality. And I also think spirituality is very, very individual. I think that what works for one person is not going to work for someone else, because we are all meant to be unique expressions of the universe. We're not supposed to be the same. So your belief, may not work for me. I'll have my own belief. But that's not to say that like I don't, see certain religions, and there's certain things I resonate with in different religions. There's certain things from Buddhism I resonate with. There's certain things from Christianity I resonate with. There's certain things from, I'm trying to think of all these. There's so many different religions now. They're all kind of over, So for most,
it's sort of like everything in life. It's sort of a way of answering the question of existentialism. Because if you've heard of this saying, like there are three ways on how we're able to live in this reality. That is, being in a relationship that you'll be forever engulfed in each other's embrace as you fall into the void of internal reality. Or the second one is that religious belief, because you'll live forever in the kingdom of God. Or the third one is, what can you create? What can you create that reflects into this world, and how can you make it an even more beautiful place by expressing yourself 100%?
Yes, and I believe if more people did that, heaven would be on earth. We would have created that. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I believe Earth is a planet of manifestation, and you're right. And it all starts in our thoughts. So if, and that's the thing, I find that if we're all so divisive, and we're telling each other we're wrong all the time, we're creating all this built up negative energy and frequencies, which is why we're not manifesting, this Eden, this heaven on earth, because we're all not allowing us to have our own individual opinions, and
exactly.
Looking at it from a place of neutrality. Like we can have conflicting ideas, but that doesn't mean that we have to fight over it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I respect you, you respect me, because you are an individual expression of the universe. That's fine. Like you're a different lens that the universe is expressing itself through. So, and also, sorry, to answer your question, it's so interesting because it's not that I don't believe in a God. I think that these are all just words we use to define the energy that's in the universe, that created the universe. So to be honest, I interchange them. It's whatever resonates with me. Some days I'll say God, some days I'll say universe, some days I'll say creator source, some days I'll say the divine. Like, it's, to me, I think that's just it's not the word itself, because we created the English language. It's the intention behind the word. I know what I'm talking about, and you know what I mean? I know what my intention is when I say God or universe or source, which is why when someone, talks to God about me, or talks about the goddess, or talks about the universe, to me, I understand what they're saying, because to me that word is interchangeable. When I think religions really use those words to divide people, it's like, no, this is the word. It's like, but this is the English language, and it can be translated. Not only that, English isn't the only language. So people will translate it within their own language, and it will be something different, and it'll be something that
Exactly. It's sort of like that. Every person who is not open enough for a different perspective. It's like, I've read this in a book from Marcus Aurelius. I forgot what book it was, but he said that everybody's perception is their own religion. So therefore, if you don't agree with me, you become my devil, because you're interfering with my God.
That's great. That's a great, now that's a great way to explain it. I think that's it's so interesting, because I actually I had shared this on my social media, I think last summer. And when I was meditating, I was given this image of this cube. And so I painted a cube out and I put different colors on each side. And they showed me that, like, my guides, I call them my guides, my higher self, they showed me that this is what perspective is. It's like I could be holding this cube and you're gonna see the yellow, I'm gonna see the blue, this person's gonna see on this side's gonna see green, this person's gonna see purple, and the colors up and down, if you understand if you get what I mean.
Yes, yes.
So, and if you ask each person, well, what color is the cube? You're gonna say blue because that's what you see. I'm gonna say red. That person's gonna say orange. That person's gonna say, do you know what I mean? But it doesn't make them wrong because there's different sides to the cube and they're all different colors. So you're seeing according to your own perspective. So and it doesn't make the other views wrong. It's just what you're perceiving. And perception is such a funny thing because it's always generally, well, hopefully perception is always evolving, right? Because it evolves based on your experiences, your relationships, the mirror of what's being mirrored back to you, how you're interpreting it. Like it's very, I don't know, perception's such a funny thing. I think we could have a whole conversation just on perception alone. Can't talk, sorry.
No worry.
It's like going too fast.
Oh my God, don't worry. But talking about what are your thoughts on belief itself? Like, is there a way on how we can come at a place of seeing nature and flowing with it? Because in one of the books that I've read about Plato, he says that we have to live in accordance with nature and not the butterflies that we see within our head. It's sort of like this note from Seneca. He says that we have to live in accordance with nature and without living within our head, or die and die with that notion, and let the people who disagree with you live in their shadows. Like, to keep it simple, what do you think about belief? What is belief to you?
I think belief is really, I guess you could say, another word for thought, right?
Yes.
And thoughts are what creates our reality. So it's so interesting. That's a loaded question. That's a lot. That's like a very expansive question. Personally, for me, I believe now. Believe, we're using that word again. I believe.
Believe.
What does that mean? I like using the word resonate. So what resonates with me now, because resonate to me is like, it goes beyond the mind. It encompasses all of my being and it goes directly to my soul. It's like something that I don't just think, but I feel in my body. That's how it's like a frequency, right? So for me, I resonate with the idea. And I think I wrote a post on this not too long ago. When I was meditating, I got this message as well, where our whole world, if you look around, everything in our earthly existence was based on thought. That house you live in, someone thought of that structure. The chair you're in, the car you're driving, the buildings you pass every day, literally everything in our world was based on someone else's thought. It first originated in the mind, and then they created it and it came into the physical. So for me, belief is strong, but I think that what's even stronger is being able to step into a neutral field and allow people to hold their own beliefs, because that's when we create harmony. And I think that's why there is so much disharmony in the world now, is because we don't allow each other to just believe what we want to believe. We think that I'm right, you're wrong, and you need to believe what I believe. But the fact that I can even hold my own belief means that you should be able to, as a sovereign being, hold your own belief as well. You know what I mean? It's not fair of me to be able to have my own thoughts, but you have to follow mine and you're not allowed to have your own. And I see that a lot with the online world. I think it's been, especially, with the lockdowns, it's almost gotten really discouraging, because people are just attacking each other online for having different beliefs, and it's getting worse and worse the more we're locked into, we only have our computers to interact with each other, and it's creating so much disharmony now.
It's sort of desensitizing us.
It is, and it's all these AI codes are pretty much running the show right now, right? So it's, for me, belief is powerful. And I think you were talking about coexisting, and you were talking about living in harmony with the earth, and that's it. it's coexisting. It's realizing, seeing yourself in everything. So for me, it's like, to be honest, I don't kill bugs anymore. I put them outside because I think, what makes me better than you? Like, where did that perception come from? It's this conditioned thought that I'm above you, I'm on the top of the food chain, so I can tear you down. I get to decide your life. But the thing is that I'm, we're all expressions of the divine. The plant, the tree, the cloud, the sky, the grass, that little ant, that spider that scares you, that's sitting in the corner. It's like, who am I to say who lives and who doesn't, So I actually became plant-based. So pretty much, I don't like using the word vegan because I find that it's a lot of the times it's turning into another religion where people are like, and I don't like that with people. I like, because I had to come to it on my own too. Like I've been plant-based for 4 years now, and I was the biggest meat eater you could ever, like, when I turned plant-based, people were shocked. Like, I used to love meat. So it's just like, but it was one of those things where you said, where I realized I don't know, it's just like something inside me realized that I need to start learning to live in harmony with the earth. I need to cut back. I need to start honoring, other beings besides myself, besides humans, because to me, we're all one. It's a circle. It's not a pyramid of, we're at the top and then all these things.
It's not a hierarchy.
No, it's a circle. And once we learn to come back to that way of living, I think we'll create that heaven on earth. I really do like it. And honestly, it probably won't be for another millennia or so. But this is when it happens, right? It's the hierarchy that goes down. This is how information gets passed on. So if I start making these changes now, even though it will take a millennia, the people, my children will start, not that I don't plan on having children, but this is just an example. My children will then, those beliefs will be passed on, and then they'll pass those on to their children. And then that's how we create change. You know what I mean? It's like being able to, so I really think that it takes one thought to really start changing your entire reality. Thoughts are very powerful.
It's like, to be all honest, like, this is how I approach the notion of belief. Of course, I respect anybody who uses the word and who has the belief itself, but this is how I prefer to approach it. It's like, instead of using the word belief, I say, I see. I see that nature runs with energy. Everything is interconnected. So am I. I see that I need air to breathe. So does everything else. And so when you say see, it puts you in a sort of mind frame of observing and not seeing what's in here, but seeing what's around you. And you can see that everything runs in an energy, and then you can come up with a sort of reflection on how to better your life, because most things in our day in society is a reflection from nature. How we climb buildings, how we build houses. How houses a reflection of the dung beetle that built his home. That animal that builds creeks on the rivers, that has those really long tail. Beavers, yes, beavers. Everything is a reflection of it. How we hunt. How we used to hunt before we became civilized. We hunted in packs. We still are in a pack. We're in a wolf pack. Everything is a reflection of nature. And it's like, I find it really funny on how you're talking about this thing about separation and unity. It's like, it's sort of crazy to me. You know about this whole notion in America about the left and the right, the red and the blue, the Democrat and the liberal. It's like, what the hell? It's like, honestly, I am like, you're like you speak about unity, you speak about this, but you're being so hypocritical, and you're putting each other into sides, fighting over a person that promises you false lies,
Yeah, I'm Canadian, so for me, I sit back and I stop. I don't even pay attention to that anymore, because you're right. It would drive me crazy, because I'm thinking, literally all of the structures put in place, the government structures, the people in positions of power have created these different sides, left wing, right wing, Democrat, this, that, then I mean, even gender, male, female, race, black, white, Hispanic, like they use everything as a division. And I find that it's like,
it's so hypocritical. It's so hypocritical.
Once we stop seeing the division amongst ourselves, we'll begin to see the similarities. Like you said, it's like, and I agree with you as well. The earth is a mirror. Every relationship we have, everything we see is a mirror for us, whether we're sleeping or whether we're awake into reality, right? So I agree with that. And we can't exist without nature. Nature has rebuilt herself over and over through ice ages, through, even with global warming. Eventually, if we get snuffed out, she will rebuild. I know this because I actually, when I was in Australia, the reason we came back early was because our work and our home was burnt down by a bushfire. So we were one of the people that were directly affected by the bushfires in America, not in America, in Australia last year. So I saw firsthand, this is what, Mother Nature, there's a cycle of creation and destruction. So once there's destruction, there will be Mother Nature, it's a circle. It's not like a flat where it's like, oh, we're done now. The earth is dead. We're done. It's gone. No, there's this constant, everything runs in a circle. So it's a cycle. Mother Nature runs in cycles just like we do. So I've seen it, and I've had friends from Australia post pictures, and it's grown back. It started, the leaves have sprouted. What once was devastation is becoming beautiful again, so it's, Mother Nature will outlive us. The earth will outlive us. It doesn't need us. We need the earth. So I agree with you. Once we start realizing that, hey, we're actually not above everything, we kind of need to be on the same level in order to continue to breathe that air and eat that food and drink that water. Oh, water is a big part of my life. So it's you need, how, especially with the oceans, we won't even talk about that because that just upsets me. When we talk about the oceans and all the pollution, it makes me so
I know, it's sort of, in a way, it sort of shows a 50-50 perception with the protesting. It sort of shows that, yes, it's needed for the butterfly effects to happen and nature to take its course within reality. But in another perspective, it sort of shows that some protests rated towards the earth is sort of meaningless, because if we die out, the earth will still remain and it will rebuild itself. It will reclaim what we stole from Mother Earth.
I know, you have a point. I've actually struggled with that perception as well, where I've thought, okay, but then, and that's what I think becomes an issue for people, not an issue, but a challenge, because then they think, well, then I don't have to.
They feel cornered,
Yeah, it's well, I don't have to change because, the earth will just regenerate. But I also treat the earth is a living being. It's got a frequency. It's got a heartbeat. It is alive. You know what I mean? So it's when I do that, I wouldn't do that to another person. So the same thing, I wouldn't try to kill someone else or try to starve them out or burn them or drown them. I wouldn't do that to another human being. So the way that I see it, my belief is that I'm not going to do that to my earth, because that's also a living being that sustains me, that feeds me. So for me, you're right. I could sit. It's so interesting. I get both sides, because I was also once there. You know what I mean? A long time ago, I didn't care either. It was oh, whatever, the environmentalists, they're just gonna talk, and the vegans and whatever. I was the same. The way some people look at me, I was there. You know what I mean? And that's the point. And that's where I think it becomes so important to honor other people's journeys. Everyone is on their own journey. So now, I've evolved to a different step in my life where this matters to me. And eventually it might happen for other people and it might not, but that's still their journey and I can't interfere. But what I am in control of is what I do. So for me, it resonates with me to take care of the earth, because I know the earth will take care of me. And that's what it is, where it's like you said, it's a reciprocal thing, where it's the energy I put out is what I'm going to get back. So if I continue to put out pollution, guess what? I'm probably going to be filled with pollution in the form of the foods that I eat, the water that I drink. It's all going to come back to me in some way. So for me, you know, I try to put at the highest frequency possible, which, I mean, as a human being, I'm going to be realistic with you. It does not happen 100% of the time. I'm like an ocean. I wave up and down. You know, my emotions are all over the
Yeah,
place.
we are never perfect. There is always
No,
those down edges.
but like the earth, I honor those cycles, right? So it's like, I'm going to feel very low some days, and you know what? That's okay. It doesn't make me any less of a spiritual being, you know, feeling low. And I think that that's such that's kind of the mentality sometimes in the spiritual community, where you have to be positive all the time and you can't talk about negative things and you can't think negative. And I'm like, but then that means that I'm not integrating my shadow parts of me, which is what you're also telling me to do. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like, sometimes it gets so confusing, but I think it's just learning to listen to yourself. I think you are your biggest authority. So for you, if you think, hey, I want to take care of the earth, I'm going to start making changes, then do that, because you're coming from a place. It's that inner knowing. It's that resonance with you that you're like, you know what? Yeah. And to be honest, that's when you're most likely going to take those actions, because you believe in that. It comes back to belief, right? But if you don't, and someone's just like, you need to do this and you need to do that, and you're a horrible person if you don't do this, it's like, you're going to be less likely to actually live that type of lifestyle. You have to come to it on your own. That's what I believe. Like, you are your biggest authority. You are your biggest healer. You are your biggest source of guidance. It's like, and I think that's why, as we're going back to the beginning, why lockdown is, it can be used, you know, in such a purposeful way that, like, then you get to know that inner authority. You end up knowing, hey, I don't want to go back to that job that I actually hated, that was draining me. You know, I don't want to talk to that person that made me feel terrible every time I was with them. So like, it actually, you start to, you know what I mean? You start to realize, like, hey, I get to know who I am. And I find in our society, we're so focused on how we look. We take so much time to, like, how we appear to others that we actually don't even know who we are. We're just different versions of what we want people to see of us.
It's like that we are living with different perceptions of what people are, and that is where I feel like it leads to anxiety, overthinking, and all of these things, because we are seeing people on how we see them, but it's actually just in our mind.
Yes, it's not who they are. It's who we perceive them to be. Exactly. That's exactly it.
It's like so much. I just feel like this utmost poetic side. I don't mean to get philosophical, but it's it's sort of like that. So much people want to reach God and want to be with God, but I just feel like that's the truest way to enter heaven or to be with God or the spiritual is to be in a flow state. And you yourself have experienced this as well, and what you've told me already is to be in a flow state. Being in a flow state of doing what you love, that is heaven. That is being with God. That is reaching nirvana, as the plethora of hippies have said throughout the countless generations. You know, so I have to acquiesce on that. You know.
No, that's great. I completely agree with you, and I'll just add on to that. See, that's where the challenge is that we've been conditioned and programmed to search for God outside of ourselves, in religions, in books, in, you know, pretty much outside of ourselves, not realizing that you are also God. You are God expressing itself. So we don't know, we weren't taught how to look within. We're starting to, the consciousness is rising. People are starting to really, you know, starting to meditate more or talk to themselves more or begin to trust themselves more. But I think that's where the challenge is that we're looking for God outside of ourselves when it's been inside. We are it. We are source. We are fragments of source fractaled out all over the universe, the multiverse even. So I think that's what kind of shifted for me because religion is very much looking for God outside of yourself. And once I got to a point where which would honestly, in all honesty, only happened really last year when I went through. We don't even have to get it. I went through, I guess, I hate using the word like ascension because I find it's becoming so
New agey.
yeah. And like I don't even like that word. I didn't even know what that word was. Honestly, never heard of it before until I went through I did a meditation. I never meditated before. Honestly, I never did. And I did a meditation and then I experienced symptoms. Like when I mean like all of the I always joke about this. All of the worst symptoms you could possibly get from an ascension, I got. Like it was like vertigo. I thought my head was on fire. My third eye was on fire. I couldn't, there were days I couldn't stand without feeling like the world was spinning. Like it was, I thought I was dying. So I was like, and people glamorize the ascension process, and I had like I don't want to use the word terrible, but it was not the most fun experience for me. But I am sorry. Now see, this is what happens. I talk and then I go off on a loop, and I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore.
Not the word. Just flow with it. Flow with it.
Sorry. Oh yes, but we were talking about looking for God outside of yourself, and before then, yeah. So before then, I didn't really. That wasn't part of my life. So, but now it's like meditating, and I've learned to go into my own Akashic records, and it's just like I get to source information from within. That doesn't mean I don't get readings from other people and I don't take courses and I don't try to learn, but I do find I always get the answer of like trying to come back within, because we all have a direct line to source, to God, to the universe. So I don't need to, ask you to pray to, I don't need to go through someone else to get that connection, because we are living embodiments of this divine energy.
Just now, leaving on those wonderful words and bringing this entire conversation to a close, I do this, Stephanie, and honestly, Stephanie, you have by far been one of my latest wonderful guests to have this all on my show. It's been an honor chatting with you, Stephanie, and I mean it.
Thank you. I know we could talk all day, so we probably should put this to a close.
No, of course. I would love to have you for another chat if that would be possible in the nearest future. We can chat some more and just let it rip,
My favorite way. I'm all about deep conversations. I don't like anything superficial, like let's get deep, let's get into it. Let's talk about aliens and, the other world and what's going on in COVID. We can talk about anything you want. I'm pretty open, so.
All right, so I'll keep that in mind. So I might invite you back to be on Earth Chats again in the latest future, Stephanie.
Perfect.
All right then. But so Stephanie, it's been an honor, honestly, and I do this with everybody who I have as a guest here. Stephanie, I would love you to imagine yourself if you were on a jumbotron right now and the entire world was listening to you. What would you tell them, especially under the current circumstances of this current climate?
That's a loaded question. That's an expansive one. I would say it's going to sound so simple, but generally the things that are simple are pretty much what we need to hear the most. But I would say trust yourself. You are your biggest authority. It's time to take your power back. Remember who you are. That's what I would say, is that it's time to take your power back. You are a powerful quantum creator, and you can create the life that you want regardless of what's going on around you. And if we all hold that harmonic frequency together, we can create that heaven on earth, that Eden, that paradise here. It's within our reach. All we have to do is continue to go within and to get to know ourselves more. Because as we get to know ourselves, we begin to know God, the creator, the divine source.
Oh my God, now I'm just imagining the entire world going, Stephanie, yes, 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 Stephanie, yes, Stephanie. Yes, you're right. Yeah, clap. Have you seen Wonder Woman 2?
Yes, I have.
Yes, sorry, spoilers, everybody, for if you haven't seen it yet. But have you seen? I just imagine right now the ending scene where Wonder Woman is talking to the entire world. That's where I got this idea from as well, that I've been doing it with my
Oh,
latest guests.
I love that was honestly that was a powerful scene. No, that was a powerful scene. That was good.
That was one of my favorite films as well. Anyway, but sorry, everybody. I will bid all of you farewell. Stephanie, do you have any final words for the
Thank
people watching at
you.
home?
Sorry?
Do you have any final words for the people watching at home?
Sorry.
Final words?
You shouldn't even ask me that because I could talk for so long. But
Yes,
oh,
I forgot. Um, uh, I wanted to help you share your stuff. If you want to promote
okay.
anything that you do, Stephanie, feel free to say right now. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Okay, so my Instagram is at Step Into the Wild, and my Etsy shop, if you go on Etsy.com, you can just search The Feminine Wild, and pretty much everything will be there. I have some new works coming up. I don't know if you can see them behind me. Hopefully not. Maybe we'll keep that a secret. But I'm always creating. So yes, please check me out and reach out. I'm always available to talk. I mean, I'm pretty open. So
All right
and
then.
I always like to share things. So I'm a sharer. I'm a teacher. I like to teach things. So
Oh, that's perfect. And it's like I was about to forget because like I always like to give that helping hand to get people's stuff
thank
out
you
there. You
so
know.
much. I
Oh,
appreciate that. Thank you.
you're very welcome. So everybody, you heard it from Stephanie. All of those links will be in the description down below. I hope all of you will reach out to her and explore her wonderful art that she makes on her Instagram.
Thank you.
All right, and so goodbye, everyone. Until next time. Namaste.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, then let me.